Contract, as well as a talented NFL draft class, could be deciding factors in the future of Alvin Kamara in New Orleans.
You are Locked On Saints, your daily New Orleans Saints podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is good, Who Dat Nation and Who Dat family? I'm your host, your friend Ross Jackson, and on today's episode, some of the bigger news, notes, and nuggets from the buzz here at the annual meetings. We're starting off with two big-time topics, and tomorrow morning we'll bundle in a bunch of other topics as well. But these are the two biggest things that you should be following. First of all, we'll get to the fact that the Saints would love to have Cam Jordan back, but we're going to kick everything off today with the future of Alvin Kamara, all of the external factors that end up having an impact on what that future looks like, and the big-time decisions and litany of possible resolutions or results that could come from this. The fact of the matter is that when it comes to the Alvin Kamara situation, every single option and every single thing appears to be on the table. Let's get into it. It's true what I'm saying here. It sounds like anything can happen when it comes to the Alvin Kamara situation. They can coexist together in an offense. They could end up being on the same team. They being Alvin Kamara, as well as the newly signed Travis Etienne Jr., my apologies. Those two could coexist in an offense. Those two could end up on a roster together in 2026. There could be some adjustments made in order to make that happen. There could be no adjustments made and it still happen. There could be adjustments made and it still not happen. There are so many different possibilities here. So I want to take a look at the two things that feel like the largest contributing factors to what will or won't be for the Saints and Alvin Kamara moving forward. Number one is contract. The Saints addressed a bit of Alvin Kamara's contract by using that 50% rule so that they could prorate money out in terms of to help them save themselves some money in 2026, but then prorate money out in future years without guaranteeing that money. Wise contract maneuvering, wise money moves for the Saints all throughout the season. That included along with not giving up void years and things like that, or not utilizing void years on contracts and things like that. But the fact of the matter is that Alvin Kamara's contract, his cap hit is still over $10 million here in 2026. So the Saints saved over $8 million by, redoing or reworking his contract in the way that they did, but it's still a heavy expense for this team, $10 million, more than $10 million in terms of his cap hit here in 2026. If he's going to be sharing the backfield with Travis Etienne Jr., or if he's going to be somebody that is even doing, a lesser share of 50-50, paying $10 million to a guy that would effectively become the second option in some cases. I'm not saying all cases, but you know how the Saints would go about this, right? In some cases, in some games, Etienne would be the focus. In other games, Kamara would be the focus. In some games, you feed the hot hand, which takes the other out of the equation, all that. And so in one way or another, you're either paying a brand new contract to a player that ends up being your second option in Etienne for a number of games, or you're paying over $10 million on a veteran contract to a running back that becomes your second option in Alvin Kamara. So in either case, you're doing that. And so I could see why the Saints could potentially look at this contract and say, maybe there's a reality in which this all works out and both of these guys stick around, but something's going to have to change with that contract. And I think that that's something that I heard several times here at the annual meetings, just in terms of how the Saints could or should go about addressing that situation. So watch for there to potentially be even more contract conversation around Alvin and the potential for the importance of that June 1 date, right? Once you get past June 1st, then all of a sudden, big time, cuts, cap hits, things like that you end up moving on from, you can defer some of that money into future years. The Saints have $70+ million to borrow from already for next season. And so they could start to make those decisions around then. And the other thing that would kind of signify that is this year's NFL draft class, which of course will be, I almost said later on this month, not quite, right? We're one day away from April, but at the end of April, April 23rd is the first day of the NFL draft. And this draft class has some very talented running backs. If you want sort of the speedy game breakers, obviously there are the all around guys. If you want the between the tackles rushers, there's a good selection of multiple backs at whatever kind of archetype you might be looking for. You want between the tackles guys, then you can roll with guys like Emmett Johnson out of Nebraska, or Katron Allen out of Penn State. You can go with his home run hitting teammate over in Penn State, Nicholas Singleton, if you want that speedy breakaway player, or maybe a Jamari Taylor out of Virginia. You want guys that are a little bit more all around than Mike Washington out of Arkansas, a guy that's been connected to the Saints via rumors a lot already. They checked in with him during his pro day in Arkansas, all that. Obviously, Jeremiah Love, but I don't see the Saints going first round running back here. And so with that being the case, you could still look at his teammate in Jadarian Price. Like, there are a lot of these options in this year's NFL draft where the Saints, if they were to invest in that position, as they did with Deuce McAllister on the roster, as they did with Mark Ingram and Adrian Peterson on the roster, right? They'll continue to invest in the position. And as they already have with Alvin Kamara on the roster, going out and signing Travis Etienne, if the right player is available in one of these rounds in the draft, when they're on the clock, that could have a big time impact on what the future of the Saints and Alvin Kamara looks like as well. All right, so something definitely to keep an eye out on. Good chance that he's on the roster. Good chance that he's not on the roster. This is very much right down the middle right now, and it feels like there are a lot of possibilities at play in terms of what this future could look like between the Saints and Alvin Kamara. Coming up next, on the other side of that spectrum, or really on the other side of the football, there's a player that the Saints absolutely want back, but they're looking at it now from a different perspective. Do they have the role to provide him to where he wants to be back? And of course, it's defensive end Cameron Jordan. Let's get to that next as we continue on with today's episode of Locked On Saints, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. What if sports were traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's not you against the house, it's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions all game long and use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets changes the game. It's people moving the action. So when the momentum shifts, you can move with it. I always knew the game, but never had a dynamic way to be able to apply that knowledge. But now I can take part live in a market powered by people. You're no longer just a spectator, play-by-play. You decide, trade every position with Robinhood, now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. Futures and cleared swap trading involves significant risk and is not appropriate for everyone. Event contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives, LLC, a registered futures commission merchant and swap firm. Let's get it, Who Dat Nation. Much like Alvin Kamara, the Saints and Cam Jordan could continue their tenure together going into 2026 as well, but there are different barriers or hurdles this time for the team to jump when it comes to potentially keeping Cam Jordan in New Orleans. We appreciate you very much for being here with us. Don't forget to come and check out the Everydayer Club. If you join the All Access side, you get one-on-one text messaging with me. So a lot of the stuff that we're going to be going over the course of the next couple of days, insiders and our All Access members got very early. So if you want information like that, check out the Everydayer Club over at lockedonsaints.supercast.com or by clicking the link in the description. The deal with Cam Jordan here is that the Saints would like to have him back in New Orleans. I don't think that's a mystery. I think that's been said over and over and over again. And I think Cam has also expressed that he would love to be in New Orleans as well. The biggest question mark, and we've talked about this a few times because Cam made this very clear when he was on Teron Armstead's podcast, that role and the sort of viability of being able to produce and have opportunity, those are going to be the two biggest deciding factors for whether or not Cam Jordan and the Saints continue on moving forward. So for New Orleans, them having and keeping Cam Jordan is not out of the question at all. In fact, I would say that the temperature feels a little bit more like the Saints would rather have him back than not. I'd say that there's probably greater indications of just temperature feeling warmer when it comes to that, right? Like, I think that there's a real desire for Cam Jordan to remain in New Orleans. Think about it, just from a logistics perspective or a logical perspective of what the Saints have already lost so far this offseason. Demario Davis is now a New York Jet. Alante Taylor, who I know a lot of people like to rag on, but had taken on a leadership role in his room. He is over with the Tennessee Titans. Taysom Hill was kind of a lead by example type, but also somebody that was very valuable and viable for the young quarterbacks that were in the same room as him. He is now elsewhere. And so also losing a player like Cam Jordan, who leads his position group extremely well on the defensive line, and of course is fantastic for the locker room and all these other things. It's a little bit challenging to assume that the Saints, or it's not challenging, at all, to assume that the Saints would want to keep one of those guys around, right? Especially somebody as vocal as Cam Jordan is, right? There's a lot of guys that lead by example and kind of keep to themselves and all those other things, but you want that sort of natural leadership ability, big personality, big driver, like all that. And that is absolutely who Cam Jordan is. And there are other guys that are picking up some of the leadership roles, Tyler Shuck at quarterback, all that. But man, like losing Cam, in addition to all the other pieces that were lost, you could see why the Saints would decide, you know what, we'd like to keep at least Cam Jordan around. But the biggest question is, can they offer him the role? And here's the thing. My understanding is that they'd like to have him back regardless of whether or not they draft another edge rusher or sign another edge rusher or trade for another edge rusher. Like if they acquire another edge rusher as early as the first round, I don't think that rules Cam Jordan's return out at all from the Saints' perspective of having a desire for him to be here in New Orleans. It would then be up to Cam to say, they have a role that I feel like I can do what it is that I want to be able to do on the field playing, right? Cam Jordan's got over 130 sacks. He's the franchise leader in sacks. He's probably chasing some other guys, probably trying to get to 140, 135 if he can. And is he going to be able to do that here in not here in New Orleans? I'm in Arizona right now, but is he going to be able to do that in New Orleans? Is he going to be able to do that in Brandon Staley's system? Now, all the numbers point to, from 2025, the fact that yes, Cam Jordan would be able to do that. His production did not slow down when Chase Young got back. Carl Granderson isn't consistent enough to keep Cam Jordan off of the field. Cam Jordan played the second lowest percentage of snaps that he's played on defense over the course of his entire career. And then if the Saints were to go out there and sign another edge rusher, they could potentially sign a guy that also helps out as a run defender and can move over and put his hand in the dirt, or that's just a pass rush specialist and only comes out on the field in certain situations, whereas Cam would have the ability to be able to play first down, second down, third down, whatever it is that you want him to be able to do. So the role very much can still be there for him as long as that's the role that they're offering him. I'm not suggesting that the Saints are going the other way here, but if the Saints were to go to Cam Jordan instead and say, hey, we actually want you to put your hand in the dirt and be a 3-4 defensive end and help stop the run a bunch, Cam Jordan's probably not going to go for that. He's probably going to say, no, this offer from this team is going to allow me to be able to be that stand-up pass rusher or edge rusher in their defense. This team wants me to be there, outside of the tackle defensive end and go out there and be a pass rusher and, pass rush specialist in my later days, like all those other things. All of that gives him more opportunity to do what it is that he wants to do and that he cares about. And so it's going to be about what the Saints have. Not even financially. I don't think this is a money thing. I think this is really just a value through opportunity thing. And so do the Saints have what Cam Jordan is looking for? Do they have that to offer to him for a viable, hey, here's the role that you're going to love playing until you're ready to hang it up, right? And so I think that that's going to be the big thing. Unless there's some other big, non-football thing that ends up coming up for Cam and he gets this real cool opportunity to go and do something, whatever. It's no secret that he's a guy that will be very good in the media someday. Does that opportunity come sooner rather than later? Like there's other things that end up kind of having nothing to do with the Saints or football at all that could take Cam Jordan somewhere else. But when it comes to the football reasons of why he may or may not be here in New Orleans, it's all going to come down to two things. What role can the Saints offer and what role are other teams offering? Those are the things that are going to end up, it sounds like at least, making the big difference for Cam in making his decision. The Saints are not out on this. It feels like they very much want Cam Jordan back. And so therefore, this is kind of in Cam's ballpark, just in terms of making sure that he is choosing the right situation for him. And if he chooses elsewhere, it's not him turning his back on New Orleans. It's not him turning his back on the team. It's him going to play the role that he deserves to take on and he deserves to play going into the twilight of his career, effectively. Go and end and finish the way that you want to end and finish. And look, I mean, he's also said that he's excited and he can see where things are going for the Saints. So that's another kind of notch on the whatever, in their favor when it comes to that. So I think there's a good chance that Cam Jordan could very well be back, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's not until after the draft, where he's got an opportunity to kind of feel out what's been filled elsewhere and what opportunities remain for him. But remember, even if the Saints go edge rusher early, I don't think that completely rules out a Cam Jordan return, at least not on the interest side from the Saints. All right, coming up in tomorrow's episode, we'll take a look at a few more of the big nuggets and some of the buzz here at the annual meeting, leading off with Chris Olave's contract extension and the complications around some of the numbers that are being discussed. We got that coming up for you tomorrow. We appreciate you very much, as always, for making us a part of your day, part of your routine, for saying yes to me in the show. If you see me, please say hi. And if you need anything else around your New Orleans Saints in between these episodes, make sure you follow me on your favorite social media at Ross Jackson, NOLA. Hit me up. Let me know how the family's doing. Let me know how you're living. Let me know how you're momming them. And trust Who Dat Nation. I'll holla at you.